Halito, YouTube, this is Jessie here. Sorry again for the bouncy camera. So I'm just prepping some beadwork for edging. And so you can see I completed the beadwork part on the front. On the beading foundation, I used Pellin, double-sided fusible interface. It's like the stiffest interfacing that I could find. I think it's 72 or something. I have it in videos before, but I buy it. You can buy it by the yard at Joann's. And so I just wanted to show you how I get it ready to attach the backing, and then from there you do the edging around the edges. Put the beadwork around the edge. I usually do a picot edge. And so this is the front, and I flip over to the back. And so I cut from the back side where I'm looking at the stitches, and the sides of my scissors rest against the edge of the beads here. And so I just want to kind of show you how I do that process. And so the most important thing is just to watch your stitches and to make sure you don't cut your thread. So just slowly and just be real mindful of where the scissors are cutting, because if you cut any of those stitches, you're going to have to go back through and reinforce your beadwork, like with more thread, and stitch it up again. And that can, if you're working with beads that are smaller, and you might have trouble getting that thread to pass through enough times to reinforce it, and then to do the stitches when you edge it. Okay, so then I turn around and I look and I see, are there any big clumps of foundation sticking out? I don't see any here. So that looks pretty good. Do the next one. That stitch was pretty close to the edge, but you just want to make sure you don't cut it. Turn around. This is kind of thick over here, but I think that might have been, it's pretty close to the stitches. But I can trim up a little bit right here. I have another little trick I'll show you in just a minute to kind of take care of that. And I have one more pair here that I need to edge up. And so this particular pair, it's dark beads. Let me see if I can get it focused. There you go. And so it's white foundation, but before I did the beadwork, I filled in the edge, or I kind of colored around it with a black Sharpie. So that way, if there's any space between the beads where you can see through, it won't show white foundation through it. It'll be dark, and so you won't notice it as much. So remember, just keep your scissors kind of against the beads to make sure you're not veering too far over. Trying to make sure I stay in frame. Turn around. For the front, I don't really see any, so that one looks good. So back at it again, just make sure you watch your stitches. Just take it nice and slow. You don't want to rush. That's probably the most important thing, is just take your time. Okay. I turn around. There you go. Now what I do is, so I have these 4 pair here that I'm getting ready to put the backing on. And I have this multicolored box of Sharpies. And I need the black one for the abalone hearts. I think this will match that color. I need the pink one for those triangles there. And then the yellow for here. And hold it in my hands like this. And just color that edge. Hold on a second. I have a loose dog hair there, sorry. My dog, she's been shedding like crazy. It kind of slowed down and then it picked back up again. I guess blowing all that hair out for the winter coat, you know. But so then I just color this edge. And again, just take your time. And like, you can get different colors of beading foundation, like kind of fancier stuff. I know like Beadsmith, I think, sells at least black and white beading foundation, but I always just use the Peloton and make them the colors that I want to be myself. It's more cost effective. And this is so when you do put the beads around the edge, in case you can see through to any of the foundation, it's kind of all the same color palette, so it's not as noticeable. Because I just don't like to see the foundation in my finished work at all, if possible. And this is the best way that I've found to do that. Because ideally you want your beads to cover all of the foundation, actually not have any of the foundation showing. But unless you're doing a full beaded edge, a little bit can show through, especially if you're doing like a picot edge. But a picot edge is probably faster and easier than doing a full beaded edge. So there you go. The hearts are done. And let's see. Yeah, that's a good. It's not an exact match, but it's the same tones. So it's just a little less noticeable than like if you had white foundation showing through. And the finer the tip on your Sharpie, the better. So like that black marker had kind of a blunt edge because I've used it a lot. So I should get a new black Sharpie at least for filling in the edges here. Let's see, this is kind of where it was hard to get it all. Like ideally I would have gotten a little bit closer on that side, but the stitches on the back didn't allow me to. And so now it's not quite as noticeable. Like you still probably won't notice in the finished product, but just for my peace of mind, I know that it's at least covered. You know, I was getting back in the groove of beading pretty good, and then the Universal Cat Distribution System brought me a 5-week-old kitten. So I've been busy the past few days taking care of her. She was still bottle feeding when I got her, so bottle feeding, and then just like, you know, the slow weaning to solid food. See, there you go. So I think I might post a short on here of the kitten doing her little kitten things. She's real cute. Don't know if it's a boy or a girl yet. I say she, but not sure yet. Still too young, so haven't decided on a name. But I'll post a short. Just a little few seconds of kitten nonsense. But you know, just needed a little bit of joy. Little ray of sunshine, hopefully. And just weird world right now. Just worldwide weird vibes, right? So she's doing good. And I have my dog and I'm trying to make sure they bond and hopefully they'll be best friends. But for right now, it's a 100-pound dog and an 8-ounce kitten. She might be a little bigger than that now, but I used to have a yellow lab and a black tuxedo cat that were best friends, and they would snuggle together. So fingers crossed that that's how these guys turn out. Seeing this one, like on the lighter colored, like color palettes, yellows and pinks, it doesn't, it's, you know, if your foundation is showing, it's not quite as noticeable. But this is definitely handy for the darker tones. for your blacks and grays. I already did that one. And like browns, reds too. But I just like to get all of them. Oh, and this one's... See the Sharpie? It's like pastel. And then almost like a hot pink on this. So I'm going to make sure to keep the tip of the Sharpie away from the beads. Because you don't... If it's darker especially, and these are matte, you want to stay away. Yeah, I wish this was a lighter pink pen. There you go. Gotta remember to keep it in frame. You kind of zenned out, focus, and forget the camera's there. Okay. So there you go. You know, and then the next step is I just find buckskin or leather that matches, you know, whatever color palette I'm going for. And then I just use Eileen's tacky glue to glue the leather onto the back of the beadwork, because it's not, this isn't like a super permanent adhesive like super glue or E6000, but it's really just to hold the leather in place while you're sewing the two pieces together, the front and the back, like the beadwork and the backing. It's just to hold it in place while you do it. And also, like super glue and E6000, a lot of times they dry really hard, and if you are sewing through it, it can be sometimes be tough to get your needle through the foundation, the glue, and the leather. So that'll be my next step, and I have videos on that. You know, if you go back on my channel, I have a lot of videos on how-tos. I have a whole like 10 video series on doing a big pair of earrings from start to finish, so you can check that one out. But any questions, you know, leave them in the comments. I'll go back. I know I've been kind of slacking on getting to the comments in a timely fashion, but I'll be getting to those as soon as possible. So thank you for watching if you've made it this far, and remember to just take care of yourself and your community. So thank you. Peach and Luch Cake. Bye.